welcome to episode 3 of Car Show Life here on NorthcentralPa.com. I'm Drake Donovan. So, fall is here, and what little car show season we got this year is already coming to a close. And now it's time to start thinking about putting those cars away for the winter, getting one last detail in before the cover goes on and they get hooked up to the battery tender for hibernation. For that, we have invited the owner and creator of Red Wolf Detailing Concepts to give us some detailed tips for the end of the season. Please welcome to Car Show Life, Mr. Tim Swank.
How you doing, my friend?
Good to see you.
You too, man.
When I first met you, we talked a little bit about how this all started. And, some people collect stamps, they golf, they do woodworking, but your hobby is about chemistry. How did your interest in science lead to Red Wolf?
Well, I think we talked about this a little bit, and like you say, when I first met you. But I've always had a fascination for all things science related. It kind of started from, I was always a musician, so I got into recording engineering and recording technologies. I can open up the back of a TV and tell you what each component part is, what is there, and why it is there, and what it does. I don't watch TV. I'm kind of a geek that way. I couldn't tell you what the latest movie is in the theaters, but I can tell you stuff like that. So when it came to cars and my frustration with the products that I used in the beginning, stuff that's actually still available today in some of the big box stores, my frustration with those products led me to Red Wolf. Like so many companies, Red Wolf was born out of frustration. And, I was dissatisfied with the stuff that I was using. And I wanted to know each component part, why it is I'm frustrated. What is it about each material or each part of the equation that adds to my frustration? How is it designed? What do I need to do to design something that's different? And I had never had a chemical engineering background. Before I released product one, I spent 2.5 years in R&D, pretty much giving myself an education on chemical engineering. In a previous working life, I had a relationship with Dow Chemical, so some of the folks there were really helpful. And I developed, in getting into some of the forums that chemical engineers hang into, if you can believe it, they actually have chemical engineering forums. And one thing about chemical engineers, they love to talk about chemical engineering, man. Mm-hmm. So that's been really helpful. And anytime I might need a little bit of advice or get off the road, they can, they push me back on, and I've learned a lot from them too. So that they've been really helpful. And so I spent, like I said, before product one, I spent 2.5 years in R&D and learning about what's in the bottle and learning about chemical engineering in general and how it applies to car care products. So that's where it started. And I didn't stop until I had all my answers.
And what was the first product you came up with for Red Wolf?
Actually, it was, you familiar with Tire Fire?
Yeah.
Okay. That was the first thing, because I would take I always took that Jeep, and you see it 100 times. Mm-hmm. It came from a boneyard, Drake, and it came in pretty good shape. It needed some work on the outside, but I took it to shows, and like I said, I was using everybody else's products. They weren't getting it done. And, then I go to boutique products from all over the country. They were better, but it still frustrated me. But the first thing and the biggest thing that frustrated me about all those products was, after I spent all the time at the show, I'd get home to find all my tire shine all over my paint. So that was the first product that we developed. We wanted to make a product that wasn't solvent based like so many are, and one that didn't sling off onto your paint. You can go up to ours once it's cured. It takes about maybe a half an hour after application to have it, wholly cured. But you could take your fingers and just go up to the sidewall and nothing comes off on your hand.
Yeah.
It darkens the tire and gives it a nice high satin shine, almost glossy. Mm-hmm. but it doesn't sling off onto your paint. So that was product one in answer to your question.
Okay. So how then did you go and expand the line? Where did you go from there?
Okay. I just started with each thing that frustrated me, and I made all attempts to fill the needs. So the next thing that irritated me was that I was using detailers, quick detailers that, you'd use them in sunlight, very seldom when we parked under the trees at our car show.
Yeah.
And you'd use them in the sunlight and they would streak and be unworkable. Of course, I was later to find through my, education process that almost all of them entirely were made of solvent, or they had solvent bases, and they had alcohol bases. And when the alcohol and the solvent flashed off, you're left with unworkable product.
Mhm.
That's why they suck so much. So we developed one that was waterborne and had no alcohol, no solvent whatsoever, longer working time. You work it into the paint and it works in nicely. And the thing about ours that almost no one can claim. There's one or two that kind of say they are, but believe me, I tested both of those one or two. I spent thousands of dollars buying everybody else's products, but I have, man. I wish I could get it back, man. Um, but ours you can use in direct sunlight, and not just in direct sunlight. You can use it in the middle of August. That's the product called Paint Potion. You can use it
Mhm.
in August when the hood of your car, especially on a black car, can approach 170 degrees, 180
Yeah.
degrees. You can use that, and Paint Potion has no problem. And matter of fact, it becomes more fluidic the higher the temperature is, and it does not. There's nothing to flash off. No solvents or alcohol to flash off. So you can use it in direct sunlight, as you can with our sealants as well.
Okay.
So we went from there to, I got tired of using mom's Windex, so to speak,
Hmm.
cleaning cars and cleaning windows, and I got tired of the streakiness there. So we developed one with there's no alcohol in it. It doesn't streak at all. Matter of fact, it amplifies the natural brilliance of the glass. So we started from there and went on to the next product. We wanted a wax. Uh, well, actually, we didn't want a wax. We wanted a sealant. Okay.
Yeah.
We're big fans of sealants that form covalent bonds with the surface of your clear coat, and that's where our Max Seal product came in. And then of course, we just recently developed a product called Sapphire that's just like high end, belongs to the more money than brains club. That's the kind of people that are going to buy that one. But it is super glossy, and both of them are nano spec sealants, and they're very good.
And you just got into another question I was going to ask you further down the line, but the nano coatings, or what the commercially known as ceramic coatings, are the big trend. They seem to be replacing waxes. What is your take on these things? I mean, you'd say the more money than brains crowd, but
Mm.
are they really effective? And what exactly is your product from Web Wolf that competes with the other guys that have these big products and big budgets?
Sure, sure. I believe wholly in both technologies, both nanospec technologies and ceramic coatings. Like I said, our sealant Max Seal and certainly our high end product Sapphire, both nanospec uh, sealants. One of them is an ultra high gloss product. There's nothing on the planet, as far as we're concerned, that's glossier than that once applied. And both form covalent bonds with the surface of your clear coat. So they bond at the molecular level, therefore making them a nanospec product. Ceramic coatings, we have a ceramic detailer, but we don't make a true ceramic coating that you might get in a small bottle.
Hmm.
And there's two reasons behind that. One, we don't do it just as other companies such as Mothers, McGuire's, and Turtle Wax don't, or just they now are to some degree. They just kind of do what we're doing and making a ceramic detailer, so to speak, um, or a wet supplied or wet applied ceramic product. Um, it falls into the 80-20 rule. You spend about 80% of your time chasing 20% of your business. And when you sell an entire range of products from bumper to bumper, inside and out, you just wouldn't sell too many of them when you could sell a lot of Paint Potion or a lot of Tire Fire or a lot of
Hmm.
Max Seal. So we kind of avoid that. That's reason one. The second reason is that we feel that a ceramic coating should be applied by a professional.
Mhm.
I've seen so many ceramic coatings that have been applied by the individual who really doesn't have a lot of experience applying things,
Yeah.
and they really hurt
Um,
themselves by making a
right
smear. You?
here. Yeah.
Oh man,
And
God love you, brother.
it's funny because I did my Camaro with a product. When they show the video and demonstrate it, they use a black car and the lighting's perfect. You could see the rainbowing effect. With
Yeah.
my Rally Yellow, I couldn't see the rainbowing. So
Mhm.
I have a couple of areas on my car. When you look close, you can
Mhm.
see that I didn't quite get the product off in the timely manner.
Yeah.
Same thing with my pickup truck is silver.
Mhm.
I've coated 4 cars now. My wife's daily driver, my pickup truck because it sits out all the time, and my niece's car, which was black. Hers by far came out the best because I could see that.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're right. That is a product that if you don't know what you're doing, or if you make a mistake, you're kind of stuck with it.
You are, and it's a heck of a challenge to remove and then recorrect. There's so many detailers that we do business with, and a lot that we don't. That bring cars in the shop where people have applied ceramic coatings themselves, only having to redo them for these customers. So we kind of shy away from that. It's kind of a philosophy we have. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It's one we stick to. We think that a
Mhm.
professional should apply them.
But now, when you talk about your nano products being more like a shine enhancer, they would be compatible with an existing ceramic product that's professionally applied, correct?
No, the sealant that we have, I say again that it's a nanospec product because it bonds at the molecular level
Mhm.
with your clear coat. It does not have silicon dioxide in it. It's a standard sealant, but because it can be easily applied by anyone that's
Okay.
ever put wax on before. So that would be Max Seal.
Okay.
It's a very good product, very glossy. And then you get up to the high end product, which is called Sapphire, which is less of a true sealant or less of a true wax than a top coat. In other words, you would apply Sapphire on top of Max Seal or an existing quality sealant.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
neither
that's
product is
kind of
ceramic.
where I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
some products they call it a shine enhancer or a
Mhm.
booster or something along those
Yeah,
lines. It's what
right.
gives the ceramic coating its hydrophobic property or makes it slippery like a wax. You
Yeah.
kind of need to
Uh,
add that
yeah.
extra layer.
Yeah, I can tell you that both of those products, especially the Sapphire product, a lot of its properties are what you're going to find in a ceramic coating without the silicon dioxide. Okay,
Okay.
so you get all the glass or all the gloss that you want without the silicon dioxide. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but um, it's not a true comparable product in that sense.
Mhm.
It was designed to take a good standard sealant and just make it glossy beyond anything you've ever seen, and it really is an amazing product. With that said, I'll let the cat out of the bag here a little bit. Uh, Maybe you've heard a little bit about graphene,
Yeah.
and I won't go into it heavily because it's a whole, it's a subject of another video probably. But we're gonna our Sapphire product actually forms the basis of what our graphene related product will be.
Oh, okay.
And when the industry figures out how to manufacture graphene inexpensively, they've made progress, but they're not there yet. And
Mhm.
it will be months, maybe even a year and a half before it actually really happens. You got to get it down from a bottle that you can offer. People are offering them for like $100 right now. I want to get it down to where you can offer it for $40 or $50. And
Mhm.
when that happens, you'll see Red Wolf with a graphene related product.
Oh, cool. All right. So
Yeah.
that kind of gets into a question I'll be asking you later on.
All
But,
right.
to get back on the topic of fall and end of season detailing, what are some things people should be conscious about before they put the car away and throw a cover on it so they don't mar their finish. Uh,
Yeah.
what are some actual steps people should take?
I think the biggest one, you really need to inspect your car cover first. There's a lot of car covers out there, and many of them don't have like a really nice quilted fleece lining. And if they don't put them on your car for 6 months. Okay, because it would be like taking, well, not sandpaper, but just something, maybe 600 grit or something, sandpaper. I
Yeah.
don't know, but you don't want that on the surface of your paint. You really want something with that, like I said, that quilted fleece lining. So it really begins with the car cover itself. I'd also recommend, because I'm a big sealant fan, and because it bonds to the surface of the paint, and because of the slickness involved. I mean, you know, by nature and by the fact that sealant type waxes have a substance called polydimethylsiloxane, and by by its own nature, it actually repels dust. And because it bonds to the surface of the paint will be less effective or affected by any movement of that quilted fleece lining. So I would do both of those. I would really use a good quality sealant, a and that's even debatable somewhat, but the real key thing is get away from crappy car covers.
I've always been very particular about what kind of towels I use on my paint.
Oh
And,
yeah.
for somebody that's very particular about their towels, and then they take a car cover that, maybe doesn't have a nice lining, or maybe has seams that are elevated and have a lot of salvage edge, rough edge on their seam, and drag that across their car, you're doing yourself a disservice.
It's no good. And I've seen people too, instead of going from end to end and roll the car cover up to the roof and then remove it slowly, they'll just
Hmm.
start at one end and just slip it right off, like you're like you just put your piano away for 8 years,
Yeah.
and you're just taking the old bed sheet off of it. uh it really disastrous. And to that point, what you were talking about with respect to rags, isn't it funny how people will spend 20, 30 thousand dollars on a paint job and then go to Walmart and then buy the cheapest Walmart rag that they can find
Yeah.
and detail their car with it? Oh my God. I cringe when I see that. Just like California dusters. I think that every one of those should be in a burn barrel somewhere, and we should all be
Yes.
putting on. Yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah.
learned very quickly
Oh
that a
my God.
California duster is not a multi use product.
No, because everybody has a tendency. I watch a good friend of mine, I won't mention any names, but I watch a good friend of mine almost every car show use it. And you have a natural tendency to not, I mean, they're originally designed, to you just hold the fibers off the surface of the paint. You don't actually mash them down into the paint. Nobody
Yes.
does that.
No.
Nobody does that. They take the whole thing and mash it in their paint and swap it around. It's just that. So yeah. So buy good micro. If I had to give any pointer to anyone, the biggest thing you could do for yourself is buy a quality, like good split weave microfiber towel, and forget the stuff you're going to find in the big box stores.
Yeah. I do a test where I will touch the towel.
Drag
And if
test.
I can feel it grabbing on my skin,
Mhm.
I know it's too rough for my paint.
You should come to our tent and sell our towels, because that's the same thing that I say. I always keep a crappy towel, and I usually say, well, hey man, you look like a excuse me, a working man. Your your paw or your skin has to be a little calloused. Excuse me. Um, Drag this towel across the skin, and you're going to feel it catch on any imperfection you find in your skin.
Hmm.
Then I take in one of our wolf hide towels, split weave microfiber, and I said, lay this on your hand and then drag it off. And of course, it comes off as smooth as a baby's butt. And they go,
Yeah.
wow, I want three.
Yeah.
Uh, you're right. If you can feel it catch on your paint or on your hand, it's going to catch on your paint.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
do it.
so I want to get into one last thing before we move on. What do you think is the most neglected part of a car when it comes to detailing for a show? what's an area that people just kind of overlook doing?
Okay. Um, everyone's if you're talking about actually at a show, what are the things that people really miss that they should be spending time on? I think pretty much people are pretty adept at detailing their cars, or using a quick detailer in their cars and shining them up, and uh, pretty much people use tire shines, and they spend a lot of time and attention to what you can see at 50 feet.
Hmm.
But the stuff that you can't see at 50 feet, or where you lose points. I mean, you get on a, say somebody's using a like a true 100-point card or score sheet, and you didn't clean your wheel wells. You didn't use a product inside to shine your wheel wells. And maybe your coil springs are sticking up. Maybe the plastic liners in your fender wells are all crappy. Sure, your tires look great, but your wheel wells look crap. A real judge is going to look at that and start deducting points. And the beauty of tire fire, by the way, I use the same product to do shocks, coil springs, the whole way inside. It's great. But anyhow, that and under the hood.
Yeah.
So many people really don't spend a lot of time, working under the hood. Um, I've been to shows where everything looks great, but then you see the hood come down and it's attached to springs that are just all cruddy and crappy. People miss a lot of things under the hood, and nobody's ever going to get a 10 out of 10 on a 100-point sheet under the hood, because you're dealing with a pretty crappy area that's really subject to a lot of abuse. But you can get yourself an 8 or a 9 if you really just put the extra effort getting all your plug wires and your hoses and hose clamps and all those
Hmm.
kinds of things. That's where people really fail, is the things that you can't see, say at 50 feet.
One of the best tips I ever got from a guy was, okay, look at your car, look under the hood, now look up and
Yeah.
look at the area around the edge of the hood. Look at the area when you're kneeling down and you're doing your bumper. Look
Yeah.
up at the little
Yeah.
overhang over the
Yeah.
grill. Catch those areas. So that's another
Right.
thing. But you pointed out another great point, that those wheel wells, areas in the engine bay, little nooks and crannies. You're not going to get it perfect, but anything you do to add a few extra points, if the guy next to you doesn't do it, you've already beat him.
That's right. That's right. I only mentioned two, and you brought up some other ones, but yeah, it's like I said, it's the things you can't see at 50 feet or 20
Mm-hmm.
feet, whatever. It's all those little hidden things that can separate. I mean, face it, how many times have we gone to shows and see like almost the entire field with just great cars, just immaculate cars,
Mm-hmm.
and you're in competition with someone who has an equally beautiful car. In many cases, 1 point can make the difference between first and second.
Yep.
And it when you put the time and you give the attention to detail that the car deserves, that the process deserves, you're going to beat the guy because you're going to put the time in. So
Uh,
we're both
I,
right on that subject.
I could vouch for that. Camaro Nationals last summer, I lost first place because I didn't clean my pedals. There were the car next to me. She did that. I mean, they couldn't decide. They couldn't decide between the two. So that's where they went. They started going down the list. All right, what's dirty on one of these cars that we can deduct a point or add a point to somebody else to break the tie?
Absolutely. I've been in. I know what you're talking about. I was at the best of the best, well, several times, but the last time I was there, actually, I was the second to the last time I was there, but I had a judge come back 4 times because he couldn't make up his mind between my vehicle and the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd stick his face, because the Jeep's lifted, and he'd stick his face in there, and he would look for the suspension, the shocks, the springs, everything. He'd look at every little nook and cranny, and then he'd come back and he focused on one little spot that I missed around a bolt. And that was he literally told me after the show, that was the difference between me and the next guy. And
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. He beat me
Yeah.
fair and square. But yeah, some of these guys get really, really particular, and they get in there and they really, really look.
Well, and car shows, it's not always about the jewelry that you have on your engine, the chrome, the performance parts. It's about cleaning and it's about the details. And that's what makes the difference when you live the car show life.
I agree with you 100%, Drake. You can put all kinds of lipstick on a pig. Okay, you really can, and people have spend a lot of money doing that. But ultimately, if a judge is judging correctly, especially if he's using like a 100-point score sheet, if he's judging correctly, it has makes, models, years, uh, LED lights, flashy rims, um, brand new reworked interior. Maybe somebody like Chip Foose did your car. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
It's how clean that is and who is the guy that got everything that can possibly be cleaned and who didn't. And that's the
Hmm.
difference between first and second. All that other stuff, that's just ancillary. That's just bling. I've even got it, I'll admit, but I do it more for myself and for um, I get a lot of young kids looking at Jeeps. They have this passion for them, and for whatever it is, and a lot of them like to sit in it, and so those things work, and that actually at this point in my life, after gone or having gone to so many car shows, that means more to me than a trophy.
Yeah.
I literally have rooms and garages full of. I don't need another one, man. So that makes me feel good, and so I do it a little bit, but you're right. It's not about those kinds of things at all. It's all about the cleanliness of the vehicle.
So let's get into the your background in the car show hobby. I mean, you say you got enough trophies. When did you start showing cars, and how did you get into it?
Okay. Well, it kind of all started with the Jeep. Um, I had a couple of them laying around, and uh, the particular one that I use now, I got, like I said, out of a boneyard. The guy had 20 of them. It was an older fella, and he had 20 of them, and I bought the best one they had. The motor was relatively fresh, um, and the body was good. The interior needed a little bit of work, but it needs some TLC. So I started taking that to car shows. I went to a Mopar thing. That was back in, oh man, I don't know, probably 10 years ago or something. But I started there, with that car, and then I made a little bit of improvements. I kind of got the bug once I went to the first show, like so many of us do. So I made improvements. I became a better detailer. I used slightly different products the next year, and then I did something else, and I became more proficient at cleaning this or that and whatever. It just kind of grew and snowballed to the point where I couldn't put any more lipstick on the pig. I had to develop my own product line, so my own quality lipstick.
Yeah.
This is something. This is something from France. It's not Maybelline or some crap.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, what's so you said the Jeep is the vehicle that you've been showing, but in your life, has there been a car that you wish you still had over
Oh,
your life?
yeah, you're looking at a grade A moron when it comes to getting rid of cars. And I've been on the planet for a little bit, so I had some experience back when these cars were not necessarily new, but they weren't that old. So
Hmm.
I mean, I had a couple of Camaros that a 71, 74, 73 Roadrunner, but I think the one that I missed the most was a 74 Cuda.
Ah.
Yeah, I was I like all kinds of cars now, but at the time I was a really big Mopar guy, and like so many of us do when we're young, we make mistakes, and I kind of fell asleep at the wheel, and I went down a little embankment. Lucky I didn't kill myself, and I wrecked it. I think it's still on the road. Some guy from down around Harrisburg bought it.
Hmm.
Apparently, chopped it back, chopped it here and there, and replaced panels, and did what he had to do to get it back on the road, and he did. I'm thinking that somewhere out there that car still exists and it's going to car shows. I just don't know how to identify it because I no longer have record of the VIN number, and it's probably not the original paint, but I'm pretty sure that it's still out there
Yeah.
and people are still seeing it.
All right. Now, correct my recollection. The 74 Cuda, is that the one that had the dual taillights? the round?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I happen to have seen one this past Sunday at the Watsontown Inn.
Uh,
There was a blue one there,
uh,
and I didn't get a chance to look at it. I noticed it as the guy was pulling away. And when I saw the taillights, I was like, oh, okay. Because you see a lot of Cudas, but they're usually the 70, 71. You don't see a lot of the ones from 74.
yeah, you don't. And the early ones are more appreciable. You had better engine options. After
Yeah.
72, everything became pretty well bogged down. Um, but it was still quick. It had a 360 in it, but comparatively, a 400 or a 440 or God, I mean, if they would have had a 426 Hemi or something, that would have been great. But yeah, so the 73, 74s weren't really appreciable compared to the earlier ones. Yes, you're right. But
Yeah.
I like the rear ends on those better. I do like the round
Yeah.
tail lights in later ones.
What they lacked in performance, they made up for in styling.
I think so. I think you're right.
Well, what is the future? What's the future hold for Red Wolf Detailing Concepts? What are you looking at down the road?
Okay. Well, that could be probably a subject of its own video too, but I'll put it in short form as best I can. Um, I'll preface where we're going to be or where we would like to be uh, with how it started out this year. I'll give you a little backstory. As you know, so many small businesses were affected by this COVID nightmare that we're all still in.
Mm-hmm.
So our progress from last year, we wanted to be further ahead, but we didn't count on losing pretty much half the season in the country. And it's not just, you know, a company that's used to selling product in the East. A good thing to do would be to get into cold or warm weather states such as Florida and California. But even at that rate, that business is down, way down too, because of COVID. Because for
Mm-hmm.
6 months of this year, you couldn't go into the stores,
Mm-hmm.
and so that kind of hurt us too. So we started out kind of slow, but the second half, we really have some right, kind of cool things happening. Um, our business has expanded. We have much more business in the western part of the state than we do in the eastern part of the state through a lot of hard work and things are really happening. We have a retail place in Delaware. We have one in New York. It's not a Red Wolf owned or franchised. They're kind of like storefronts and they're exclusive with our products. Um, I just signed a deal with a gentleman in California that's building 2 stores right now, and he kind of has eclectic taste for car care products and all things automotive. So he wants his stores to be a little different. So he wants products that you just can't go down to the store and buy at, say, an AutoZone or something like that. He wants stuff
Mm-hmm.
that are different. And boy, we really fit in there because we are kind of different, especially the guy who owns the company. Um, but that's going to be very protective. So that's like year-round business. We get out in the warm weather country,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll be good. We want to do the same thing in Florida and expand that. So, and we're just signing on more dealers and more detailers. Every month there's somebody new. So as we begin to build the core, things are going to get things are going to happen almost exponentially. We're working on some retail centers out east here. So I won't mention any names because we're still working
Yeah.
on those and in negotiation. So it'll be at one point next year where you'll be able to you don't just have to go to our online store. You can go and get the stuff, say, well, at a store you're familiar with locally.
Well,
So
good, good. That's great to
yeah,
hear.
that's the key. I mean, it's a little bit of a challenge because we're a little bit more upscale and our pricing is structured that way. We're
Mm-hmm.
kind of a boutique company. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but if you can meet them halfway and they understand that, they are a boutique, they are better. Uh, and if they're willing to offer both side by side, let's see who buys one, what
Mm-hmm.
bottle of what, let's see who becomes more ultimately successful. I'm not afraid of head to head competition. I haven't lost to anybody yet. And I just want, I just want more opportunity. So we're working on
Exactly.
that, and I wish I could really tell you about it more, but I can't until they really land.
Well, when those announcements do come out, please put info@carshowlife.net on your press release group so we can help spread the word.
I will, buddy, and I appreciate the help because like any other small developing and emerging company, we could use all the help we can get, and
Well,
I'll trust you to
and
do us a good job.
it's all born here in North Central PA. I mean, you're in what, Union County?
Yeah,
And so, that's something to be proud of our North Central region, to be able to have a product like yours, a product line for car shows. And it's spreading out to California and Florida, and it's going to be available at some point locally, where we can walk down to the store and pick up a bottle of Tire Fire.
yeah, yeah. We're looking forward to that when we get to that point too. I'm I don't want to count chickens, but I know we're going to get there because we have some hardworking individuals. I'm going to beat myself to death until it happens. So um, we're going to get there. It's just a matter of time. It would have been easier if one would have gone into it with a heck of a lot of money, dropped it, and we'd be a lot
Yeah,
further off right now.
yeah.
But we didn't. We just started out with X amount of funds, and our goal was to develop a good, strong core, loyal people. Hey, I love the fact, just like you said, that you guys manufacture products in PA. I like to support local businesses. I can't tell you how many times we hear that at car shows and in emails. Um, so we're just looking to grow it outward, and eventually we'll get there.
But
Right.
just to wrap up here, thank you for joining us. I wish you continued success, and I hope that you'll tell us when those things are available. In the meantime, tell folks where they can find your products in your online store.
Yeah, right now go to www.redwolfdetailing.webs.com.
Got it. All right. Well,
All right,
I'll be
man.
doing some perusing there as well, because Tire Fire sounds really good.
It is, and you're going to like that product. There hasn't been anyone who's purchased it that hasn't fallen in love with it. So uh, we wish you well with that. And if you send me an email, I'll work you a little favor there, buddy.
All right. Sounds good. Tim
All right,
Swank from
take
Red
care.
Wolf Detailing Concepts. Thank you for joining us on Car Show Life.
You're welcome, sir.
Enthusiasts of Nissan Z car got an exciting announcement on September 16th as Nissan introduced the highly anticipated Proto Z. The sixth generation of Z car features styling cues reminiscent of the first generation launched in 1969, with some subtle nods to the subsequent designs of the 80s and 90s. The 400Z is expected to begin production in 2021 and will be available with a twin turbo V6 and a manual transmission standard. No exact pricing details yet, but Car and Driver speculates that it might be somewhere in the mid $40,000 range, fitting between Toyota's four-cylinder and six-cylinder Supra. The Ford Bronco, which was revealed back in June, is making news again this week when Ford made it clear that there would be no factory V8 variant of the 2021 off-roader. According to an interview with MuscleCarsAndTrucks.com, Ford Bronco chief engineer Eric Leffler says they have to manage the CO2 implications of the product, meaning current federal corporate average fuel economy regulations, or CAFE, make it too costly in emissions fines to add another V8 to the vehicle lineup outside the Ford F-Series trucks and SUVs and the Mustang. Though with 300,000 pre-orders for the new Bronco, one might think that their profit margin would be more than enough to cover any cost of running afoul of CAFE. In big car show news, the Barrett-Jackson Cup is returning for 2021 to the annual Scottsdale auction at Westworld. The Barrett-Jackson Cup was previously awarded during the Reno auction that coincided with hot August nights between 2013 and 2015. As Barrett-Jackson Auction Company celebrates its 50th anniversary in 2021, 50 builders will be selected to compete. Auction chairman and CEO Craig Jackson says, "We want to give builders the chance to show off the amazing customs they plan to unveil at automotive events in 2020 that were canceled. So if you're a builder or customizer here in North Central PA, you can submit a free application for your custom build at barrett-jackson.com." Speaking of events canceled in 2020, a lot of charities that have benefited from proceeds raised at car shows are really hurting for funding in the absence of those events this past season. So I'd like to partner with local clubs to help. As we get closer to the holidays, I want to offer a portion of my proceeds on holiday gifts sold now through December 31st, 2020 to local clubs and their charities of choice. Car Show Life offers a wide array of apparel, car art, as well as our line of custom designed printed show boards that make great holiday gifts for the car lover in your life, especially with personalized images of their own prized rides. It's a great way to enjoy your car all winter long while it's safely tucked away hibernating in the garage. So, to all the clubs in our region, North Central Mustang Club, Mopar Muscle of Central PA, Susquehannock AACA, Susquehanna Valley Corvettes, Keystone Cruisers, Northeast PA Cars and Coffee, Central PA Street Machines. Let's work together and try to help out your club charities and spread a little holiday cheer. So if you want to purchase something, you can visit us at carshowlife.net/shop. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Car Show Life Back in Hood Up. You can reach me directly at info@carshowlife.net, and you can always leave a comment here under this video. I want to say thanks again to my guest, Tim Swank at Red Wolf Detailing Concepts. Big shout out to Matt at the Graphic Hive for my shirts. But wrong side, mirror image. And a big thank you to Phoebe Freer for her production assistance and everyone at North Central PA Media. I'm Drake Donovan. Go forth and live that car show life back in Hood Up. See ya.